Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at my run to nearly legend, not quite yet, but very close to it, with Shadow Shiftry. This Pokemon is actually way better than you might think, and I looked at this Pokemon and was like, how can I use it? But there are so many Greninjas face-ups right now, which we're also going to use in our own team, which is kind of funny, that Shadow Shiftry has so much potential in the current meta. As well as you're going to be able to win every single matchup, I think, against Carbink, which is kind of amazing. And just the Razor Leaf damage is just so insanely strong, especially as you're going to have access to two very powerful charge moves that don't really need a lot of energy, making this Pokemon so much fun to play. This team got me, I think, a total of 11 and 4 as a result, which is amazing. So we can now move on to the second game already with this team, where we're going to encounter a Nidoqueen in the lead. Honestly, the MVP of this team is actually the Froslass. I have to say, Froslass was definitely the best Pokemon on this team. There are so many leads here where they are really weak against Froslass. For example, the Nidoqueen, I encountered Nidoqueen quite often, but also something like the Toxicroak I encountered quite often, so right now, Froslass lead, I have to say, is mostly the best one that you can run. Here we're going to encounter a Pawniard. As the opponent gets a boost here, this is actually really bad for me, because I think I could have been able to just let the Night Slash go through otherwise. But like this, I'm going to be forced to use a shield, but I can still go up to 2 Hydro Cannons, allowing me to definitely guarantee switch alignment here, which is very important. Of course, I don't want to have the Nidoqueen against my Shiftry in the back. But we're going to see now the final Pokemon going to be the opponent's Guzzlord. And a lot of teams are just double weak to Ice typing, and this is something that definitely going to change after this video. I would expect, I think we will see way more Froslass in general for the people that are watching this, because this Pokemon is just so overpowered. You can see here I can sweep the entire team, but of course I have to showcase my Shiftry for the opponent here. Moving on to the next game, let's take a look at what they're going to run here. We're going to see the Froslass against the Charger Bug. This is most likely one of the worst possible Pokemon to encounter for this team. This is definitely the Pokemon that I don't like to see at all, as we're going to use a shield here. There's going to be an Exeter. Of course, the opponent can bait me here as well, and that's going to be basically the worst possible Pokemon, as, yeah, this Pokemon can outspeed me if they go for the bait. If they don't go for the bait, I think they cannot outspeed me. But here, as the opponent decides to go for the bait, they're most likely going to be able to outspeed me. So we try to catch a move here, I guess, onto our Greninja, which of course it doesn't even matter what they go for. They're gonna go for the Exeter here, and they can even farm me down. So we're in such a bad spot, basically. I'm going to be forced to go back into my Froslass here, which can try to use a shield and try to go for a charge move afterwards. But still going to be close, as the opponent can swap out into the Runerigas. And honestly, if I went for one more single fast move here, I would have been in such a different spot, because one more fast move is all I need to get to the charge move here to knock out the opponent, and this completely shifts the team because the opponent doesn't swap out. I'm fairly certain I would have something weak in the back to me as well, but of course it doesn't matter, as Shiftry is gonna get knocked out by the Exeter. One fast move decided that game. Moving on to the next game, let's see what they're going to run here. We're going to have the Greninja in the lead, so we decide to swap out not immediately into my Greninja, but I can get some extra fast move energy, or like energy on my first Pokemon there, which is going to be amazing, as the opponent going to reveal that they're going to run their Charger Bug as well. I can just go ahead and get a ton of energy, and this will allow me to go for the Hydro Cannon spam here, which is going to be amazing for me, as I have, of course, a huge weakness against Charger Bug, which this team just going to have to deal with. But as we can see here right now, we're going to be able to just let this move go through. It's going to be the Exeter, and I should be able to still reach the Avalanche in time with my Froslass, getting the move off here. Going to get the knockout against the opponent as well. I don't think they're going to shield this move up. Now I can swap out, because it's very likely that they're going to go back into their Greninja, so I decide to swap into my own Shiftry, and I have to decide to forfeit here most likely, as the opponent going to have their own Mandibuzz in the back. I actually going to be able to still go ahead and take an Aerial Ace, so I have still some kind of faith there. But then I decided to just forfeit here afterwards, so that's going to be a good game. Moving on to the next one, let's take a look at what they're going to run. They're going to run the Nidoqueen in the lead. Again, favorable lead for us, and we're going to see the opponent having the Umbreon in the back. I decided to go for a charge move first, because I'm going to be able to outspeed them, and if we can catch a move here onto our Pokemon in the back, it's going to be amazing what we're going to be able to do here, as Greninja even gets the extra fast move through, which is very cool for us. We can now go for some Hydro Cannons against the opponent. I can take another charge move from them as well, as I will be able to reach my own Hydro Cannon. We have 2 Hydro Cannons stored already, and if they're going to let this move go through here, I will be able to just go ahead and go for a Night Slash afterwards, which is going to be able to hopefully get the shield or the knockout. I'm actually going to get the shield, which I'm more than happy with, because now I can go for the full farm down afterwards. I can just shield up the foul play from the opponent, but they decide to swap out into their own Greninja, allowing us to hard wall them and win the game. Moving on, let's take a look at what the next opponent going to bring to the table. We're going to have a Shadow Marowak in the lead. This is a weakness of this team as well. We're going to have here a Fire-type Pokemon against my Pokemon in the back as well, which is going to be Grass. So, like, I have to stay in here with my lead, which is not ideal at all. But the opponent decides to swap out into their Greninja, allowing me to swap into my, my Grass-type Pokemon, which is going to be amazing. So we're going to be able to just farm them all the way down. We can avoid basically the Marowak. We cannot fully avoid them, but we will be able to just go ahead and go for a Leaf Blade still, which might get the shield here from the opponent. This could be, of course, the foul play if they can't count, but they can count. So I'm forced to go into my Greninja here, which should be able to actually farm them down. Fast move is resisted, as well as the Bone Club is not going to do too much, but I'm still going to go for a charge move here, as the opponent is going to let this move go through. We will see the victory bell in the back, and I'm forced to still get to the Night Slash here, which works out amazingly for me. So very tough team comp, but can we still reach another Avalanche here? Yes, we're going to be able to get to one here, but if this extra Razor Leaf going to knock me out here is going to be difficult, but no, I still can get to the Avalanche and win this game with just a few HP left on both of my Pokemon, but 2 shields at least. Moving on to the next game, let's take a look at what they're going to run here. We're going to see the Dragalge in the lead. We're going to be able to just go for our Avalanche basically here, but they're going to be able to get to the move at the same pace as I would get to an Avalanche. So I decided to use a shield just in case, because my backline is kind of weak to the Dragalge, but actually we're going to be able to get the opponent already into range for just a Night Slash here from our Greninja, which is going to be amazing, as we can go ahead and go for another Avalanche. As we're going to see here right now, the opponent going to use a shield, and we can swap into our Greninja against the opponent's LilyNiRiain, which will be able to just take the Santum. The opponent swaps into their Swalot, and we're going to have a great matchup here, as we should be able to just win this game at this point. We can just go for maybe even a shield here, because we can just realign our Pokemon then. We can go for a Hydro Cannon. We don't even have to really bait here. And this Hydro Cannon should be enough to nearly knock out the opponent's Swalot. If they let this move go through, I can just farm them down, have a move stored, and again, my Pokemon in the back here is going to be fine against the LilyNiRiain anyway. I can just swap into my Shiftry, show them my final Pokemon, and completely demolish them with my Razor Leaf damage. As you can see here, this Pokemon is so toxic and so strong in this current meta. Moving on to the next game, we're going to encounter here the Charger Bug in the lead again, which is of course, again, a matchup that I don't really want to encounter. By the way, every single battle that I did with this team is going to be in today's video, so you're definitely going to encounter quite a lot of interesting matchups here, most likely, as you're going to now be able to go for the Avalanche against the opponent, which is going to do hopefully some damage, and they're actually going to let this move go through, which is kind of fine for me. I think I can still survive a discharge from this range, and I do survive this one, as I can go for the full farm down, and they decide to swap out here immediately, which was a smart decision because they're running the Jellicent in the back, allowing me to go for the Night Slash here, which is going to be very good for me, as I still have my move stored onto my Froslass, which is going to be amazing, as they most likely have something weak in the back. I can just go ahead and go for another Night Slash here, get the shield advantage, and I'm going to let this move go through now, which we're going to be fine with, as it's going to be a Shadow Ball. I still might be able to survive a Surf here, I would imagine, so I'm going to let the next move go through as well. But it turns out, Surf is actually enough to knock me out, but it doesn't really matter because I'm just relying at this point off my Shiftry, because Shiftry is going to be able to do so much damage, and the only thing that I need is the shield from the opponent. This is literally everything I need, because I can just go ahead and go for the charge move on my own Froslass. I sadly seemingly lose CMP against theirs, but it doesn't matter as I still have a shield left, and this is going to be it for this game, as the Shadow Ball is going to be able to take them down, and the Froslass is going to be able to knock out the... Oh, never mind. We still need the Shiftry to knock out the opponent's Jellicent, but this is going to be a very good game. Moving on to the next game, we're going to encounter another Nidoqueen in the lead, which is going to be fine for us, as we're going to see the Mandibuss swapping in, so they're seemingly very weak against my Froslass here, which is amazing. So I can just go ahead and go for the Avalanche, and they decide to swap out into the Greninja because we can just take those moves a little bit easier, as well as we put them into a range where I can just go for the Night Slash. But here I just decide to overfarm by quite a lot, so I can maybe even get out of this matchup with a Hydro Cannon stored, which would be amazing for the Nidoqueen matchup. As you can see here, I can just go for the Night Slash and knock out the opponent, which is going to be amazing for us. Again, we don't really get boss at all with my Greninja. I don't know, my Greninja is a little bit broken, but we can try to go for a charge move, but we were not able to, and this is really, really bad. I didn't expect them to have a Scrafty in the back, but apparently they do. So this is going to be a difficult one to still win for us, as we're going to be able to go for a shield against the opponent. It's going to be the a foul play luckily, but we see the Nidoqueen coming in, and at this point, my only play here, or my only hope here, is going to be my Shiftry, which is kind of funny, because it's going to have to go up against 2 Pokemon that does super effective damage against them. Like, the Poison Jab plus counter is going to be both super effective against Shiftry, but as you can see here, I'm not even going to throw any move anymore, because my play is to farm them down with my Pokemon. And Shiftry is great at this because of the Razor Leaf. As you can see here, even this Scrafty does not stand a chance, and we will be able to win this game as well, thanks to Shiftry. Moving on to the next game, we're going to have another Charger Bug against us, which is going to be a very interesting matchup for us, as we're going to, of course, know that we're going to have a little bit of a tough time here. I think it's actually maybe the best play to do exactly what I'm doing here and try to go for no shield in the beginning, because we're still going to be able to survive a discharge, and you're going to be able to also still get to 2 moves in time, but the opponent makes a great play catching the move onto the Jellicent, allowing me though to swap back into my Shiftry, which can go for the full farm down. They can go for their charge move if they want to, but again, it does not really matter too much. They're gonna go for the Surf, but I will get so much energy here as well, which will help me out against the Charger Bug, because I'm going to use a shield here. I expect that the opponent most likely going to be weak against me in the back as well, so I can just overfarm by quite a bit and now go for the Leaf Blade here, trying to get the shield from the opponent, which works out pretty well. And I was thinking, maybe I can even use another shield and just get the knockout with my Shiftry. And this is exactly what we're going to do here. We're just gonna brute force through the opponent, as this is going to be the Leaf Blade coming through here. Gonna get the knockout, and they're going to have the Kofag Regis in the back, which we can just knock out here with our Greninja. And like, this is going to be a very good game, allowing us to win this game. And we can now take a look at me claiming my set here as well to go up a little bit of rating. Phantom as a spawn, sadly not shiny. Do you have a shiny Phantom yet already? Like, I don't have one because I haven't been outside playing Pokemon Go for ages, but yeah, at least I'm still playing Go Battle League. We're gonna move on to the next set coming up. We're going to have the Golisopod in the lead here. Horrible matchup for us, and please take a look at this matchup in general, because it was very weird for me. We will still be able to go for Hydro Cannon against the opponent's Skuntank, which is in general actually a very decent matchup for me. They're gonna go for a charge move here. Most likely should have just went straight for my Night Slash, but they're gonna go for the Trailblaze, and I can just move on and go for 2 Night Slashes now, allowing me to definitely get somewhat of an advantage here. And I'm gonna get the boost, which is kind of nice. I'm gonna get the first shield from the opponent, which is kind of nice. And I can even go for another Night Slash, which is going to now allow me to have both shield as well as switch advantage, and the opponent decides to forfeit. But as you maybe already saw there, my team was pretty weak against Golisopod in the back. Like, 1 extra would knock out my Shiftry as well. But we can now move on to the next game, and another opponent that's going to be fairly weak against Froslass. I have to get the Guzzle a little bit lower. Like, it doesn't matter if I can knock them out or not. I just have to try to get the shields, and basically then I can swap out into my Greninja and go for a Hydro Cannon. But here we can just get the knockout, which I'm totally happy about. Yes, we have a shield disadvantage, but I can just go ahead and swap out, as the opponent is going to run a Regis in the back, which is so free for our team, as we're going to have our Shiftry still lurking in the back. We still have our Greninja here. We can just go for the Night Slash, as we can knock them out with a Hydro Cannon for sure. But Night Slash is gonna get the shield anyway. The opponent decides to swap out into a Buzzwole, and I was able to go for the Nuke here, which is amazing for me because it was super needed. Like this, we're gonna get the opponent insanely low, and we can just go for the Avalanche here. And I guess their play is to try to farm me down here, hoping that there's something in the back that the Regis can beat. But turns out I'm going to have, of course, my good friend the Shiftry in the back, which can easily take the Stand Tombs. And this is going to be a very easy game here, and we can move on to the next one. Starting the battle a little bit late here. I don't know what really was happening there, but we can just go ahead and go for our Froslass against the opponent's Golbat, allowing us to also have a great lead here. But I decided to swap out a little bit earlier against the Drapion, and I should not let... I mean, I'm going to shield up the first move just in case they are running the Sludge Bomb. Yeah, Sludge Bomb it is, because Sludge Bomb would do a lot of damage against me, but they decided to just run most likely Awkward Tail with it, so I can just go for the Hydro Cannon, get the shield back most likely, as we're going to see. No, actually, they're going to let this move go through, which is fine for me. The Golbat is coming back in. I can just go for a Night Slash here, trying to get the shield from the opponent, getting the shield from the opponent, as well as I can still get to the Hydro Cannon here, which is gonna do some significant amount of damage against the opponent. Interestingly enough, I think it might be even already farm down range for my Shiftry in the back, but we have to see here. We're gonna be able to just use a shield against the Poison Fang, as the opponent makes a great play baiting me there, as I am going to try to now swap out into my Shiftry. But we will see here. I'm going to be able to catch a move. It's going to be actually the Shadow Ball, but my opponent makes a great play. They definitely undercharge it because they can now get more energy with their Nidoqueen. And like this, my Froslass is not going to be able to outspeed the opponent anymore, and they made a great play here in order to win this game by basically undercharging there. Next game coming up, we're going to have a Whimsicott in the lead. This is exactly where we want to face it. The opponent actually going to outspeed me nowadays because they have Seed Bomb, which takes only 5 fast moves from the opponent to get there. So Seed Bomb is going to do some decent damage here, but they're going to swap out into the Swallowed, allowing me to go for a charge move here as well. Usually all charge moves are resisted on my lead here, so that would be definitely the ideal scenario for me. But because I still need my lead basically for the Whimsicott, I'm going to have to swap into my Greninja, which can at least still go for the Hydro Cannon here, and I will be able to go for 3 fast moves before I throw my own charge move against the opponent's Whimsicott. I decide to go for the Night Slash, which was most likely not the play to go for, but never mind, I can actually go for 2, and 2 Night Slashes are definitely better than just 1 Hydro Cannon. So I was able to get a shield here as well, which is amazing for me as I can just swap back into my Froslass, and the opponent is clearly in range where I can even Razor Leaf them down, and we're going to see here now that I'm going to be able to catch a move on my Shiftry, which is amazing. I still have a move stored on my Froslass, and we will see that they're going to have a Carbink in the back. And also, we can see that we can still reach the Leaf Blade. And also, we will see how much damage our fast move already does, putting the Carbink in like very deep down health there, which is already low enough for our Avalanche basically to knock them out, as we can overfarm by quite a bit, so I can get to my next charge move a little bit easier against the Whimsicott, winning us the game, and this is going to be it for this one. Moving on into the final battle for today. We're going to have here SpongeBob Tom with their Greninja in the lead. I can swap out immediately into my own Greninja, trying to align my Pokemon there. But again, I would actually recommend you to go for 4 fast moves first with your Froslass and then swap out. But actually, we're gonna get out the Pokemon that I really wanted to get out here, which is going to be the Fortress. Fortress is a very tough matchup for your lead, because your lead is going to do only neutral damage basically with Shadow Ball. But also, it's even a worse matchup for your Shiftry in the back, which has a 4 times weakness against bug typing, and they of course have bug bites, so like they would do so much damage against me. So at least here I will be able to realign. I didn't expect that they would run a Rock Tomb. I thought they would most likely go for Mirror Shot here, but they don't run Mirror Shot. So like this, I'm going to be forced to swap out, and I have to hope that there's something in the back that I can win against. And honestly, I feel like I had a chance of winning this game if I played it differently. I decided to just go ahead and use a shield here. All good so far, but I wanted to know if my Shiftry is able to realign here, because it would be so cool in general to do this. But yeah, so I decided to use a shield here against the opponent, thinking that I would still get to a Leaf Blade, which I would be able to do. But if I didn't shield there, I would have most likely been able to get a ton of energy with my Froslass, enough to knock out both the Swallowed as well as the opponent's Greninja. Or I would have went for 1 more fast move before I went for the charge move here, allowing for a CMP tie basically, which would have knocked out the Swallowed as well. So I kind of threw the last game away, but it was a very difficult one to play, and this is going to be it for today's video. This is going to be very close to Legend, but not quite there yet. So hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.